Hello guys, it's nice to have you in this video. In the previous video, I showed you how to enable our Express server to listen on a path or on a route. We successfully made a request to the server and it handled it. Whenever we make a request to the forward slash or the default path or the default route of our server. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to also create multiple routes for our server. So we are going to create other routes for this server, and also I'll be showing you something called route matching. So how we can use regular expressions also in our routes or in declaring our routes in the Express. So the first thing we want to do is we have this demo server of ours running. We want it to listen on multiple paths or routes. So right here we have only one configured, which is the route or the route part, which is just a forward slash. Now we want to add more paths to this. We want to add more routes to a server. So to do that, we can say app.get and once again, the app.get is telling our server to listen for a get request on this route. So we want to do something like services, and let's not forget we also have our function that takes a request and a response. Now in here we want to log a message to the console that a request has been made to a part. So, but here we want to take this a step further. We want to use the request object that we have here. So we want to get the URL value from the object. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a formatted string, and I'm going to say request made to, and instead of putting the um instead of hard coding the parts here like the way I did here. No, I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm going to dynamically add the value here. So I'm just going to open my braces and I'm going to do request.url. Okay, so request.url. This is going to fetch the URL that the request is being made to. So, and in our case, it's just going to return forward slash and services. Then we also want to send a response to the user. So we want to do res just send um um this these these are our services. Right. So that shows that we're on the services page. Then also we can also create another route, and this time we want it to be for about. So we can say app.get, and in here we are going to say slash about, and let's not forget a request and a response, and we want to have in here we also want to log the same thing to the console. So I'm just going to bring them over from here. I'm going to duplicate and move them down from here. So okay, but here we want to change this to know more about us. All right, so now we have three routes configured on our Express server. We have um, the default route or the route path, and we have one for services and also one for about. So let's all start up our server by running node index.js. All right, so our server is up and running. So if I move to my browser to test this out, so I'm just going to navigate to localhost and port 8000. All right, so we can see request handled successfully as we declared on our root path. But now we want to navigate to slash about. Okay, so now we should get something else. Yeah, know more about us. And if we go to services slash services, then we're going to get these are our services. So that shows us that now we can navigate through our server. We can make requests to different endpoints or routes on our server, and our Express server is handling all of this. But if we make a request to something that doesn't exist, to a path that doesn't exist, for example, let me just do nothing. So localhost 8000 slash nothing, and this is going to tell me cannot get nothing. So that means our server doesn't recognize this as a route. It doesn't know what to do or what to use this for. It doesn't have any knowledge about this. So yeah, that is that. Now we want to, before I go into route matching, there's something that we want to do. Um, I'm just going to stop the server now and close up my terminal. Now I want to navigate to the package.json file, and I want us to configure a script that we are going to use to run our file every time instead of doing node then index. Now, like I said in the previous video where we are setting up our project, that we do not need this test script for now. We are not using it for anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove it here. But here I want to configure a script called start. So I'm going to give it the name of start, and in here I want to specify the command. So node index.js. So now instead of typing this again, anytime I want to run or I want to start the server, I'm just going to say npm start. So npm start is going to, as you can see here, start this or run this script that we named start, and now our server is running. But like I said also in the previous video, that if you make any change to your file or any changes to your file, you have to stop the server and restart it. So, and I also promised to show you a way of fixing that or avoiding that. Now, there's actually a package that we can use um, with along with Node.js to actively watch our file for changes and also restart the server whenever a change is being made to our file. So the name of the package is Nodemon. Now we're going to install Nodemon through npm. Now I'm going to run npm install then Nodemon. Here I'm not going to pass in a safe flag because it's not actually a required dependency. If you have it, if you don't have it, you can still make use of this project. So I'm not going to use the safe flag here, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to install it as a global package. So when you're using npm, you can have a global or a local package. So for example, the Express that we installed right now is an example of a local package. So we can only have access to it within the scope of this project. But if you create another Node.js project, you are not going to have access to it. But Nodemon in our case, it can be installed as a global package. So I only have to install this once. That's what I mean by it. If I create a new Node project, I can have access to it. I don't have to install it again. Now we have some global packages like that, but Express is not one of them, I think. But Nodemon is something that you can install as a global package. So with this G flag, then you can do that. All right. So now I'm going to allow Nodemon to install. So Node1 is actually a node monitor package. So the full name is node monitor. It is used to actively watch or track changes to our node file and restart the server whenever we make changes. So we don't have to do that manually. It takes care of that for us. Okay, actually, yeah, I got an error here, and I feel like something I should also share with you guys. If you are running on Linux or Mac, then you might have to run this command with a super user privilege, that is sudo. Um, or if you are Windows, you might not run into this problem. So the reason is that we are trying to install Nodemon as a global package, and npm global packages are stored under a folder that requires special access on Linux or Mac file system. So that is why it failed here. But now I'm running it with sudo, so it's not going to give me that problem anymore. All right, so we have our npm our nodemon package installed for us. Let me just go ahead and clear out my console. So now what we're going to do right now is that we're going to go back into our package.json, and instead of writing node here, we're going to write nodemon. So we don't want to run this our file with node anymore. We want to use the nodemon. So the nodemon basically executes, it also calls the node keyword, uses the node keyword to execute our file, but in this case it's more dynamic and we don't have to restart our server anytime. So now if I should run npm and start, then I'm going to have nodemon, and as you can see here, watching extensions javascript json started. So if I go to my index file and let's say I just make a change like this, it's going to restart the server for me with no stress. All right, so with that being said, now let's look at what we call route matching in Express. So I have a documentation here. I opened a documentation here from Express JS website. So I'm going to leave a link to this documentation in the description of this video. Or you can just go ahead and check it out yourself on expressjs.com on their guide. So here we have not talking about methods actually. We're talking about paths or routes, and um, we are specifically talking about how to implement route matching. Now, the case with route matching is that sometimes your user or the user might make a request, might want to make a request to your server on a path that you declared, or probably there's a typo. For example, let's say here I have express slash guide slash expressjs.com slash en slash guide and slash routing.html. But in this case, I had a typo, so I had unknowingly added an extra I here. Now, if I should send this, now as you can see here, there is a 404 error, page not found. So actually, that is how Express works. It matches exactly what you declared. So in our case here, we declared slash services slash about. So if someone enters slash service into the URL or try to navigate to, for example, let me try that here. So let's say I just do service, then this is going to tell me cannot get. It's more like a 404 error. So that's also the same case here. Now, with route matching, we can use regular expressions to automatically detect what route our user or what route the request is being made to. So we can use some regular expressions in our routes to be able to match any path that the user passes in. Now, I'm not going to talk much about regular expression. It's another headache for another day. But in this video, I'm just going to have to ask you to look up at this documentation and grab some few things like for example, you can use the question mark to make it optional, to make a character optional in your route. You can use the addition to depict one or more. For example, in this case, I added another high here after the high that we have here. So if they had used something like the plus operator here in the routes, then this would direct us down to this page. But those are kind of things that we can do with route matching and also regular expressions in our route. So we can also use the asterisks to show zero or more characters, and also we can use grouping. We can group uh some characters to make them optional or not. So there are quite a lot of things that we can do with um, regular expressions in our routes to make sure that we satisfy the user need and to make sure that our server handles requests as simple and as efficient as possible. So that's that about route matching. Hopefully, in the next videos, we are going to use some of this in during this course, and I'm going to show you some of it. But like I said, I'm not going to talk about regular expressions, but at all in this video, and if you feel like learning more about it, then you can look up for a tutorial on it, or you can also refer to this documentation. There are a few things of it. It's not really there isn't really much of regular expressions in it. It's just something, some few things, that some few tricks that you can use that can come in quite handy. So that's that about routes in Express. So we are going to look at having parameters in our routes in the next video. So we want to look at how we can get parameters from our routes, how we can have dynamic data from our routes in the next video. So until then, please remember to leave a like on this video, and also subscribe to this channel if you have not done so, and also share this video with your friends, the people you know, and I'll catch you in the next video.